Hello everyone, Prince Dabslot here, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the best Delta Green scenarios, Lover in the Ice. I'm going to go over all the things that I did right and wrong when running this scenario, and some common pinch points you're probably going to run into. But before we get into that, I have to say, full trigger warning for the scenario. There are themes of sexual violence. It's very alien, face hugger kind of horror. So I totally understand if you do not want to interact with this scenario, but I must say, once you get past the grotesque monster, this has some of the best Delta Greening you will find written by Arcdream Publishing. It's a fantastic sci-fi horror scenario with a great monster and some great ideas going into it. So without further ado, we're going to move past the spoiler warning and go straight into it. So the overall gimmick to this scenario is that a huge snowstorm has hit a town and opened up a green box, a storage container used for holding artifacts or stuff from past missions that agents have dumped stuff into. It's been broken into, a tree has fallen on it. They sent a resident friendly to go check it out. He got that infected by the cedar of a monster that escaped, and thus then that monster is now running around this town making clones of itself going out. So this scenario has so many things going right for it. It does so much cool stuff. First and foremost is it's great to teach your agents about green boxes. One of the coolest ideas in Delta Green as a whole, these forgotten storage containers, wherever. It can be trunks of a car. It can be anywhere where agents need to shove stuff that they can get in no hurry or stuff they never want to see again. And I don't feel like there's enough of these. These are such a cool cornerstone of Delta Green. It's mentioned quite a bit in the fiction and the books you can read. So a scenario that has your agents not only interacting with one, but forced to trudge through this radioactive sludge of green box material. A+, great gimmick. Super, super neat. Along with, it sets up this ice storm that's hit this town, completely knocked it out. And the ice storm, despite my agents had the inkling that, maybe the storm is supernatural. Maybe something we're doing here is going to deal with the storm. No. The storm is not supernatural, and the storm is actually good and working on your agent's side, which is really awesome. It's a great backdrop outside of just the normal town or city or whatever they're interacting in. It's a place hit by disaster that has nothing to do with the mission. It's just caused it, and it's actually working in their favor by slowing down this monster and restricting options and keeping eyes away from what the agents are doing. So it just has some great playing with expectations. It even sets up a handler in the beginning for your agents to interact with, has them working under as official government agents. Just A+ stuff here. The monster is great, the Adamante. It's like a alien kind of face huggery thing, lots of sexual violence. It's gross, should really make your agents just feel nasty whenever they have to interact with it or deal with it in its wake. Obviously the cedar in its glory is right here with one of the college girls that it's infected. But the ideas it sets forth, A+ Delta Greening. So if your group is okay with some sexual violence and some very dark moments, which this scenario absolutely had some of the darkest moments in my Delta Green history, and that's including running God's Teeth, don't be afraid. Throw this at your agents. It is some of the best gameplay you are going to get out of the system. So I'm just going to hop straight into some of the props and some of the assets and community things I've used when I ran this. I think this was one of my most successful, most interesting, most thrilling Delta Green scenarios I ran. But in no small part due to all the community assets people have made around this. And frankly, you kind of want to run the scenario as written, and it's written very well and laid out really nicely with a timeline of what's going on and everything. So I don't have a ton of huge changes I've made to the text. And this is one I would definitely recommend just reading, understanding how it goes. And if you just run this based purely in the text, you are going to be fine. So without further ado, I'm going to go into some further minor changes I've made and some of the props I've used. So someone else online has made this fantastic emergency video that I used to just introduce the scenario as we sat down. The first half is some spoilers about Delta Green itself, so I didn't include that, but I just started it right outside, and that goes to my first change where I made the town based in the Pacific Northwest. I made it a town kind of outside of Seattle because that's what this state of emergency alert uses. And I think that's a better change just given how big of a town Seattle is nearby, so that's eating up all the emergency provisions, and the small towns can't handle it, and they're kind of just getting boned. This has a great ominous tone about it. I'll link this in the description. Would absolutely recommend using this for your agents and just fading into the scenario with introducing next the handler being, there's a huge storm, you got to go in, do this and that. So this was eerie. Whoever made this, Craig Bailey, thank you, set the tone perfectly. I would just recommend cutting the first half of kind of spoiler stuff about Delta Green. So I found a random town. I used a program to make it black and white, and this was the map we used of the town, which was cool. I think it works with the main highway and shows kind of everything all kind of cut off and separated into districts. And then we filled out the locations as they were needed and put them all over. For example, I put the university down here on this bend. I put Skip's house up here on the north side, and just scatter around as you see fit, as needed. And remember that getting from place to place takes forever. So I had them doing drive rolls to see whether roads were closed down, how quick it would take them to get there. And even moving across a town like this in the snowstorm with the down power lines, down trees, icy roads, and all that should be difficult. This should be a challenge to get from A to B in just the natural elements. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the ambiance of this scenario, and usually I'm one to have, some light background music playing, maybe some songs I like. This is one where you should go full on with the winter, the blustery noises. You really want to show how isolating and howling this wind is, along with the winter storm. So this was a great one to just, even though they're in a city and there's people around, the agents should feel alone the entire time, and also should be kind of nervous about splitting up and going different places, especially if you just toss in those hooting and howling every once in a while in the background that you can hear as suggested per the scenario. This is definitely one to play up some ambiance if you got it. And it really just drives home this winter storm, which, again, completely natural and actually helping your agents, but doesn't stop it from being a force of nature. And because one of your players could possibly, die, and they come in as the detective, the deputy on this case, I wrote out some of his information. I also had a character sheet ready to go for him in case that happened. That didn't happen, but I was ready for it. Along with, I kind of rewrote some of the host behavior that is going to happen and made it a little easier to comprehend for the players because it's kind of mishmash, kind of in a few different places. So I gave it as a nice handout ready to go for if anyone got infected, which didn't happen, but my God, it was close. My agents got so lucky. I've never seen more critical hits with a shotgun on this thing, even with its armor being doubled when taking shotgun hits. My agents shredded these guys. Truly, God was on their side in this scenario. We all agreed, and that shotgun lives in infamy in our play group for just hitting crit after crit after crit after crit, and the damage was huge. So back on topic, I made some nice handouts for my players. In brief, a big document about what happens when they're infected. You're running out of time. Your chances are slim at best. Good luck, agent. So, along with that, I just wrote out some of the stat blocks for myself and easy reference. I'll post this in the Dropbox as well. So, going into green box materials, I found this online. Someone wrote out a lot of hands for all the documents they can find inside the green box about the hands. And then I also went through it. I have it printed out here, and I added a sticky note in there at the very end about finding your hands and all the sand losses and around with that. So that was really cool. I said they couldn't flip to the end until they spent the entire time studying it, and so it gave them a motivation to keep going. And even just reading all these hands is so weird, along with the ending in flames. So this was a fun document to have them thumb through. So speaking on the green box, you should do this fun little mini game. I didn't, and I regret not doing it because the minigame of having them roll and seeing up or down of what they want to dig through is cute and is fun and keeps it random. So I would definitely recommend using the kind of printed minigame in here if you're not in a rush. Someone online also made a Wikipedia page for Ryan Whitehead, which was very interesting, and we loved it a lot because it gave some more context for what's going on. This is a really neat Wikipedia page and just does a great job of showing information. I love when people do this because it's natural that your agents will want to just Google something like this, and this man would probably have a page about him. So we use this. This was a huge positive handout. Again, I'll post the link to this. Someone on Reddit did it. It's fantastic. So talking a little bit on your agent's identity moving into this, they're working as a FEMA oversight group. Cover is thin, but I want to give my agents access to a truck for moving from A to B, especially getting all that green box stuff into their little trailer that they have alone. And so I would recommend having them roll for disguise or something to see how well their identities hold up. And even though I gave them a lot of bonuses to this check, they didn't know that, and it made them sweat every single time they'd interact with FEMA and steal a truck from the local utility service and all that. And it really served the purpose of making them really nervous about their identities and wanting to stay out of the public as much as possible. So speaking on Deputy Filigree a little bit, he exists in this module like any good NPC written in Delta Green, kind of like Music from a Darkened Room. He exists as a plot tool for you to use. If your agents are zipping through it too hard, throw him in as a bit of a complication. If they're really struggling, he's there to help. He's there to keep them honest. He's there as a target to have them be distracted with. He exists for you as an NPC tool, and that is how I recommend you use him. He didn't come up in my games. He kind of existed in the background, and the agents kept sending him down on false leads and kept him busy, so they earned him not being in their face a lot. But, again, he's there as your backup agent in case one of your agents dies or doesn't want to play a sexually infested monster. So the Mills house should be when they get an inkling of what's truly going on here. So it should be its set piece of Mills rounding the corner, looking gaunt and crazed. So definitely play that up, play up the intensity of it. And I added an additional thing to add into the grossness. So warning gross factor. When he died and got shot, I had him ejaculate. And that was actually the breaking point of one of my agents. So now he was afraid of bodily fluids for the foreseeable future. So that was a great, gross moment, and he almost looked happy to die, which I can't blame him. So that was a gross little detail I tossed in, and that is still talked about to this day. So moving on to the house, I gave the new one that just gave birth or just was birthed lower armor. Because the way I was like still fresh, wet from the womb, still fighting its way out. So I reduced its armor count by a little bit, and that worked well. They ended up killing it with some crazy shotgun rolls. So it worked out and let them study it for a little bit, and then burn it and know that this thing is horrific and they need to kill them and how many more are out there. So of course you should play it where it tries to escape, because they're smart and they're not going to sit around and just fight one-on-one or fight 1v3 or 4 or whatever you're doing on these agents that's gonna get killed by. It's gonna run away. But they got the drop on it. They got the drop of it getting birthed, and I don't regret giving it lesser armor value. And it made later when they had armor value hit extra hard where they're like, oh crap, these things are scary. That was just a fresh one and it was horrifying. Now these more grown adult ones are even worse and can survive even more damage. So the ending to this scenario as written needs some work, or I should say it's extremely bare. So it needs you as the handler to do a lot to make it work. So someone on Reddit made some Roll20 game boards. I just printed these out. I had these at my table to show the hall, the college hall that the girls were in, and it was really nice having a map. I had the girls set up in this back corner with the bathroom connecting so that they could bust through. The players pulled a fire alarm to set off the fire alarm inside the college, and I had the fire alarm noise ready to go and just blare. Great scene. All the college kids in the party. I think I even had a YouTube video where it was, what music sounds like from a bathroom of a party, so they could hear the kind of the hits pumping through the walls. And excellent set piece. The two girls actually tried to have sex with one of the agents who was not about it, but given that their state, it makes sense, and try to drag him in. And so it was really cool to see these agents, kind of older people, hiding their shotguns and all their weapons. And remember, there's concealment rules for what you can hide and what you can on yourself. Moving through this college party, not trying to cause an alarm, and hearing all the rumors and all the people smoking weed and talking about whatever, because these kids are going to be partying it up. So this was a really cool set piece. I use this map just because it visualized a lot. Not that we use it as a battle map, but just as a show of how packed this place is and where these girls are located. So I also did the same thing for the end in the school gymnasium, which should be set up as a safe haven for people coming in from the cold. Great set piece again, all the beds, and there's some Adamante running around here in the dark infecting people. So this is going to lead to one of our darkest moments that I added in our entire Delta Green career. So, full warning, very fucked up moment going ahead. Don't judge me too hard, such is life. So they had to, when they were pulling people out, because they said, oh, there's a gas leak or something, and we're trying to get people out of this gymnasium, I made the split second call to have someone be infected. And it kind of occurred, one of my agents was playing violent movies on his phone, kind of trying to hold it up and seeing if people reacted when they go by. And I had someone who was younger, I believe a 14 or 15-year-old girl, be infected, and it led this horrific moment where the agent had to kite her away from her family, out alone into the woods, to then kill her and dump her body. And very traumatic. His agent gained depression from doing it, and we had a few other scenarios involving rescuing young people, like Ladybug afterwards. So it was a great moment where he was trying to redeem this horrific act that he did to save the day. But that was by far the bleakest Delta Green moment we had, and it works out well. If you're going to put your agents through this scenario and give them moral decisions to make, choosing what to do about a young kid that's been infected by this horrific monster, that was one of them, and it worked. And that's going to bring us to a close on Lover in the Ice. One of the best Delta Green scenarios, if you can get a group that is okay with the horrific themes and the monster that's occurring in here. But A+ Delta Greening, the involvement of the green boxes, some of the lore it drops, the monster is cool, the city is cool. This is a 10 out of 10 scenario, my favorite Delta Green scenario, my most successful Delta Green scenario. So don't be afraid if you can get a group that can handle the themes, which can't blame anyone if they don't. You should play this one. Its reputation precedes it as a little bit of a fucked up scenario, but this is A+ gameplay. It's a great bug hunt. It has the sci-fi thing of it being a clone of itself over and over again. Nothing but positives I have to say about this scenario. So don't be afraid of it. Bust it out. It's in Black Site. It's a great book. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'd love to get some feedback on what you guys think. Let me know if I help your games. Let me know if you take my advice and it goes horribly. So always just happy to hear from you. So thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.